Hello. So, I have a story, and it involves sisterly love and childhood trauma. So it's been a while. I've been trying to get into a new schedule. My nephew's crying again. I've been trying to get into a new schedule, and that is because I have started a trade school, vocational school. I don't know which one it is. So yeah, I've been going to classes every day now, and that is why I haven't made videos in the past couple weeks. So sorry, but I'm super excited because it means that in about a year I will have an actual profession. And it's something I actually like, and I'll actually be a contributing member to society. So yeah, I'm excited. But before school, I know I told you guys that I was going to do a video with my sister, and she said yes, and we actually did film a video of us baking together. But if you've been here a while, then you know that my sister and I tried to kill each other a lot as kids. And that hasn't really changed.
No.
I consider frosting a decoration.
Well, I consider frosting part of the cupcake. It's not a cupcake without frosting.
Are we arguing about cupcakes?
No!
I don't know what I thought was gonna happen when we tried filming together because we fight every time we see each other. So yeah, we got in a fight and then we turned off the camera and we got in another fight and then she kicked me out of her apartment. So I still don't have a video that I could comfortably post on the internet of me and my sister because we can't get together without fighting. And that makes me really sad because when we were kids, I feel like we were really close. Like we were best friends as kids because we bonded over like playing pretend games together and we both loved to write and dream of being authors one day. Actually, most of the stories that I wrote were shameless self-inserts of myself and my sister in like a bunch of pretend games that we would play. And most of the stories that I wrote as a kid, they would be like my sister or a friend of mine as the hero and I would be the goofy sidekick. I don't know why I could never imagine myself as a hero of any of my stories. I guess it was because like whenever Janelle and I would play games together, I always had to be the sidekick or the villain or she wouldn't play. And I didn't really care just because like I just wanted to play games with her. But then when I would write stories, I could like never imagine myself as a hero at first because I had never been one. And so I just had this internalized inferiority thing. And I feel like this is a therapy session. But anyway, the games that my sister and I would play were always the same. They would be episodic, magical twins doing zany schemes. And our characters would always be the same in that my character would always be the narcissistic, boy crazy, money hungry twin. And my sister would always be the bookish, sensible, protective twin. And when I say that they were episodic, I mean that we would play these games like they were a TV show, and most of them had theme songs. So for the magical twin games, they would be the same premise but different settings for each game. So it would be us in a wizard school, or a fairyland, or a potion selling business. My character would come up with this get-rich-quick scheme that would be either like a hidden treasure that they had to find or this magical item that they would have to find ingredients to craft and sell. And then the next few episodes would be of our characters finding the treasure or finding the ingredients to the recipe. And then for a while we would benefit from the treasure or the money that we had made from selling this crafted item. And then suddenly, a villain would appear who would be after the treasure or the secret recipe to our item. But like even in the magical twin games, I would still have to be the villain. And since there were only two of us, when there were scenes with my sister and me and the villain, they would be like, "Give me the treasure." No, we found the treasure fair and square. Well, I'm stealing it fair and square. That doesn't make any sense. Your face doesn't make any sense. And then we would battle the villain, and then we'd win. The end. And then we would start the new season. And each season of these games that we would play, they would just repeat these story arcs and then... yeah. We actually had a pretty good sense of 3-act story structure, even as kids. Except for like the part of death and redemption, because when you're like 5 years old, ain't nobody got time for that. So as I said before, most of the games we played where we weren't magical twins, I was the villain. And this one kind of sums up what that whole experience was like, being the villain in all the games. It's called the Upper and Lower Kingdoms. This game, the Upper and Lower Kingdoms, is shockingly classist and tragic in hindsight, but also funny. So the premise of the upper and lower kingdoms was our bunk bed represented the kingdoms, with the top bunk being the upper kingdom, the bottom bunk being the lower kingdom, and the ladder was a giant wall. Yes, a giant wall separating the aristocratic upper kingdom from the proletarian lower kingdom. And guess who had the bottom bunk? So I was the prole, and I was thinking, okay, I gotta find motivation for this. So it was kind of like, hey, we're poor, and they have tea upstairs. I'm breaking in. So I was constantly trying to infiltrate the aristocratic upper kingdom, and I would do this in various ways. But of course, every attempt, I would always wind up getting kicked out of the kingdom. One time we were playing it, and I ran out of ideas, so I was just like, I'm just gonna bull rush it. I'm just gonna sprint up this ladder. And then I just ninja sprung my way onto the top bunk with just my chest showing. And there are 3 things that I did not previously know about getting kicked in the chest. 1, when I get the breath knocked out of me, I wheeze like a chew toy. And 2, it is really hard to grab anything whenever you have the breath knocked out of you. So trying to grab the ladder rails on the way down was like, and 3, landing on your tailbone really hurts, but it hurts 1,000 times more if you try to entwine your legs into the ladder to catch your fall on the way down. Okay, so there's one last game that I want to talk about because I think it's the first one where I ever had to be the villain, and it is the most epic game of epic games, and it has the most epic name. This game is called Super Snooki. So for this game, my sister played the hero, Joyful Jane, and I was her nemesis, Evil Elizabeth. What started out in the game is that Evil Elizabeth would try to make various death rays to destroy humanity, because why not? And there would be either freeze rays, or heat rays, plague rays, but then Super Snooki was our dog. She was a sweet little Beagle Terrier mix, and for the game, she was the hero, and Joyful Jane, my sister, was the dog's sidekick. So Super Snooki comes on the scene, and I immediately am like, I gotta stop making death rays. I gotta get out of the death ray game. I gotta focus on a power sucking ray so that I can sap Super Snooki's powers, and then I can go back to taking over the world. That makes sense. So for every episode, I would first have to dispose of her sidekick, and then when I had Super Snooki in my clutches, I'd use my power-sucking ray and sap her powers, and then I would rule the world. And then at the end of every episode, when Joyful Jane, I tied her up over like a tank of sharks, and I had Super Snooki in a prone position, I would use the ray on her, and nothing would happen. Literally every episode, I would use the power draining ray on Snooki and be like, I have you, my pretty, and then Joyful Jane would just break out of the shark tank and be like, surprise, motherfucker. Your attempts are futile, Evil Elizabeth. Super Snooki has no powers. And every time, I, as Evil Elizabeth, would not believe it. I would just be like, why isn't this working? It's futile, Evil Elizabeth. Super Snooki has no powers. You lie! And then every episode would just be that. I would build the power-sucking thing, and then I would capture the sidekick, and then I would capture Super Snooki. The ray wouldn't work, and I would not believe it when Joyful Jane was like, surprise! Just over and over and over. It sounds like a weird version of hell. So, yeah. Those are a few of the pretend games that my sister and I played when we were little. Most of my story ideas actually came from these pretend games, like I said, and I would love to make children's books someday based on these magical twins, where one's like this money-hungry narcissist, and the other one's just trying to keep her out of trouble. Or like these good versus evil books, but from the villain's perspective, and the villain is just this really goofy, awkward, not very capable villain. I would read it. I don't know when I'll have time to write this next year though, since I'm going back to school, and I don't know how much time I'll have to make these videos either. Not that I've been posting very regularly anyway. But as for right now, it is time for this week's Ghost Pepper. She liked a whole bunch of my Instagram photos from a while back, and she's just really nice. And I'm sorry that it's taken so long for you to get here, but ta-da! She is super nice. She's liked most of my Instagram photos. Thank you so much, Stella. And thank you watching this video. Thank you for tuning in to my awkward little life. And whenever I post next, then I guess I will see you. Much love.